Hey, how are you? I hope your Friday is going well. This is kind of an odd time to do my Friday video. You know, typically I try to do it in the morning or a little bit later, but anyways, I thought, you know what, I promise a video on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So here it is, and I know people listen afterwards too. Before I get into what I'm going to talk about today, hey Crystal, how are you? I appreciate you watching and sharing very much, Crystal. That was what I was going to talk about first, just really, really quickly, is that I so appreciate, again, you guys that are sharing this, that are telling people about it, that if you're listening to it, because I just have such a heart of passion for this, you know, to get this message out, to, again, to give people hope who are struggling, to give them encouragement that are struggling. And it's funny because I don't know who's all watching it. Like, I can see after a few days how many views, you know, I got or whatever, but it's so cool. I just encountered somebody yesterday, I think it was, a friend of mine that I don't see very often at all anymore. And she said, Heidi, I watch your videos. And she also said, like, I never knew you struggled with this. I'm like, isn't it crazy? Because we used to work together and stuff, and believe me, I was struggling during that time. And so for those of you who are watching and have watched and have shared and everything, I'm so blessed by that. Hey Bev, how are you? Beverly and I used to work together, and I was struggling at that time too, Bev. So anyway, yeah, I just want to give a shout out and just let you guys know how much I appreciate that. I really, really do. And, you know, it's a message I want to get out to a lot of people, because there is a lot of people that still struggle with this, and, you know, on a daily basis, and it's horrible. So I don't want to get into things big time like my journey. I'm going to just go really brief. This is, I think, the 5th week that I have done this now, that I'm doing Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays, sharing my 25-year journey with fear, anxiety, panic attacks. 25 years I struggled with that and exhausted every known possibility to overcome this, and I did. Not in conventional ways, you know. It wasn't through pills, it wasn't through counselors, it wasn't through therapists, it wasn't through psychologists, none of that. Hi Julie, I just mentioned you. I didn't mention your name, but I just mentioned you. Thanks for being on here, and thanks Crystal for that as well. Hey Julie. So anyway, tonight I'm going to make it brief. I say that every time though, and I always think, gosh, I want to keep it like no more than 10 minutes, and start kind of yakking about it, and it ends up being more. So anyway, so that's why I'm here. I'm here to give hope. I'm here to give hope to you guys, because like I've said on other videos, I am nobody special. If I overcame this and others have too, then you can too. So you need to have hope, lots and lots of hope, because it says in the Bible, actually, hope deferred makes the heart sick. When your hope is gone, when you feel hopeless, and I know you can, I've been there with this, man, it's just the most awful feeling. That's where depression, you know, sets in. That's where those feelings set in, just feeling hopeless, like I can't get through this, I can't get through another day. I get it. I absolutely get it. But you know what you have to think of too? I don't know how long you've had it. You know, I had it for 25 years, you know, kind of off and on. Sometimes it would get a little bit better, but I was still standing, right? 25 years of that stuff, but you know what? I was still there, and I was like, so you gotta pat yourself on the back. You know, you think, no, you're stronger than you think. If you've been struggling with this for a while and you're still here though, and you're still standing, and you're still, you know, then give yourself credit, right? Because honestly, you are so much stronger than you think, and you honestly, I've said this before too, you have everything in you right now to break free. Absolutely. I'm sorry, I get like sidetracked by people that come on, and I see John Bender. How are you, John? And Noble Ramon. How are you, Noble? Anyway, just briefly, this is what I want to share with you today. I have a cousin right now who had a traumatic brain injury in January. She was in an awful accident. She used to live here in Frankenmuth. I think if some of you are watching, some of you might even know who I'm talking about. But she had an accident. She was rear-ended by a semi back in January. She was on vacation in Arizona. Her friend was actually killed during this. So my cousin was in a coma for 10 days in Arizona. They flew her back here to Mary Free Bed. I don't know if any of you guys know that place, but it's in Grand Rapids. I'd never heard of it before, but it was amazing hospital, rehabilitation hospital for all sorts of things. So she had to basically learn how to walk again. She had to learn how to talk again. She had to learn how to eat, how to breathe. I mean, she was hooked up to everything that you could be hooked up to, right? And so one by one, you know, they're taking these tubes out, taking those tubes out, you know, taking her breathing tube out. Now she needs, you know, learns to breathe, taking her feeding tube out. So she's had to relearn all this, learn how to write again, learn how to do things again. I'm going to visit her tomorrow. In fact, she's in Traverse City right now. And she's in a kind of a group setting there. You know, she's walking with a walker. You know, she's talking up a storm. She can eat. I mean, she definitely has still some residual things with regard to this brain injury that she has. And, you know, but I'm believing she's going to recover fully. But you're going like, okay, so what does this have to do with fear, anxiety, and panic attacks? Okay, so the one day my husband and I were there, and we would go to therapy with her. We would spend like 3 to 4 days there with her at this hospital, and we would go to her therapies. So she was in her one therapy, and at that time she had graduated to she was on a treadmill, and they had her like hooked. They would have her like hooked up to this treadmill, and then the therapist, he was a intern therapist, like they would hold her like on the back kind of. And she's still kind of learning at this point, you know, and she kind of starts veering over sometimes. Her feet kind of get caught in, you know, other feet and stuff. And he's going, okay, you know, you've got, I can't remember how much she went that day. I think a mile. She had to take a couple little breaks, but he's like, okay, you've only got X amount left. And she's like, no, I want to go more. I want to go more. And she said, I can do it. I know I can do it. So he just kind of flippantly out of his mouth said, and I've got it on my notes here, your brain always adapts to the demands that you put on it. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, wow, like that, it just hit me. Like it just hit me like a ton of bricks. Your brain or your mind always adapts to the demands that you put on it. Right? So what demand was she putting on her brain at that time? She was putting the demand on that I want to go more. I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to quit right now. I want to keep going. So what happened? She kept going. If she would have said, you know, like if he said, you know, hey, Jody, you got like, you know, I don't know, an eighth of a mile left or something, and she would have gone, oh my gosh, I can't do it. I just can't do it. I can't. I'm too tired. And she was tired. Believe me. You could tell. She was tired. But if she would have said that, her brain would have adapted to that demand, right? And she would have ended up kind of stopping, slowing down. Maybe she would have just said, you know, I'm done. You know, like turn this thing off, right? It was so amazing watching her. And I'm using her as an example today because she, through this all, I never heard her complain one time. She didn't quit. She kept going, even though odds were against her, even though, you know, she's doing these things, having to relearn these things that she knew how to do so perfectly before, right? Simple tasks like, okay, now, hey, how about you pot this little plant and get, you know, simple tasks like, hey, let's practice writing your name today, you know? My cousin's 63 years old, you know, but I'm like, wow, just think about that. So think about that in the way of fear, anxiety, and panic attacks, right? Your brain always adapts to the demand that you put on it. So what are you thinking about? What are you telling yourself? What are you telling yourself about this condition? Your brain's going to adapt to it. Your mind's going to adapt to it. If you've been telling yourself for so long, this is the way I have to live. This is just the way I'm going to have to live. I believe it. I've been this way for so long. It's not going to change. Then your brain and your body and your mind and everything is going to adapt to that way of thinking, and you will get it. That's what you will get, right? If you're saying, I've got side effects from this medication, but the doctor said I have to be on it forever because it's a chemical imbalance and it can't balance itself. That's how it is. So I'm just going to be on that medication forever. Then you will adapt to that way of thinking, and your mind and everything will go along with it, right? But if you continue to keep saying, you know what, I can overcome this. I will overcome this. Come hell or high water, I am going to break free from this. Then your mind is going to start believing that, right? Your brain or your mind will always adapt to the demands that you put on it or to what you're telling it. So you have to think about, what have you been saying about this? How do you talk about it? What demands have you been putting on your brain? Like, are you saying, I'm always anxious. I'm not going to go there because I always get anxious when I go to the mall. All right. So your mind and your brain is going to adapt to that. And every time you go to the mall, you're going to be anxious. And you think it's just because that's the way it is. But no, it's because you've been telling it that. That's the demand that you've been putting on it, right? So as my cousin put that demand on her body that day, put the demand on her brain, right? That in turn went into her body and her legs. Nope, I'm not going to stop when you tell me I can do more. I believe I can do more, and I'm going to. And she did. Right? And she keeps putting demands on her body and keeps doing that. So you have to see this in the context of fear, anxiety, and panic attacks. What are you telling yourself about it? What are you telling other people about it? What do you continue to say about it that's going to keep you stuck, right? What demand are you putting? I'm sorry, I keep losing this, and I want to say it one more. Your brain or your mind will always adapt to the demands that you put on it. And the demands that you put on it are what you're telling it, what you're thinking, what you're speaking out of your mouth. You're going to get it. It's going to adapt to it, right? So you've got to start watching what you're saying. You've got to start being very careful about what you're saying about this. I know the situation you're in. I get it. And I had, oh my gosh, did I have days that were horrible, but I'm telling you, there was something in my mind that I would tell my husband, I am gonna break free. I could have been at my lowest day. I didn't know how that was gonna happen. I didn't know, but there was something that I kept saying that. Some days I felt 1,000,000 miles away from thinking I could break free, but somehow I kept that. That was part of a demand that I kept putting on myself, a demand that I kept saying, right? And you know what? God listens to that. He listens to those things. What you're saying, what you say is what you get. What you say is what you have. What you say is what you'll keep. All right? So think about that again. Write it down. To me, it was so profound. Your brain always adapts to the demands that you put on it, right? And flip it over really to almost anything that you're doing. Anything that you say you want to quit or you can't do it anymore, your brain is going to adapt to that, and you're going to go, that's the path that you're going to go on, right? So, hey Kathy, how are you? Neighbor. Exactly, Crystal. It does make sense. It really, really does. And we just don't realize how important those words are. We just don't realize You know what that does, what comes out of our mouths is absolutely vital. It's vital to everything, but it's vital to recovery of anything, and that includes fear, anxiety, and panic attacks as well. So anyway, so that's my Friday message. So keep the faith, you guys. Keep the faith and really watch what's coming out of your mouth. Really think about that, right? And I will be back on Monday. Monday morning. And with more encouragement and more hope for you to break free from fear, anxiety, and panic attacks for good. So have a great weekend. Keep the faith. Put some demands, put some new demands on your mind. Put some new demands on this, right? So anyway, you have a blessed weekend too, Crystal. Thanks for watching, all of you guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for, the encouragement. Some of you I've seen you different places or you've, given me comments and stuff. I mean, it's not about me at all. This isn't about me. This is about God taking something that was horrible in my life and allowing me to turn it around and to help other people overcome it like I have. Almost 20 years now I've been done with this stuff. So what a blessing that is. What a blessing. So anyway, have a great weekend, you guys.